I'm going to pause here a second and talk about shop safety. This video is not meant to be a course on safety or how to use tools, and you'll see me working in the shop using tools within my knowledge and comfort level. So I encourage everybody to do the adequate research in order to find what your comfort and skill level is working with tools, and stay safe in your own shop. Hello again, and welcome to the Corner Studio here in my garage. And today we're working on a Repousse project, and I have a stack of copper panels here that I've made preliminary sketches on, and we're going to do Repousse work on one of them. And I got to drag some stuff out, tools and whatnot, and get it all spread out on the table. I also got to get the camera moved to the overhead shooting position, so it's going to take me a few minutes to get all that set up. You may notice a slight difference in the sound quality because I'm going to shift to this microphone here. This is the Ceramonic V-Mic Mini 2. It'll be installed on the camera overhead. It'll be fairly close to where I might happen to be talking, and unlike this one here, it will be out of the way of me using tools and moving my arms and that kind of thing. So stand by, we'll get all the stuff out, we'll get set up, and we'll get going with the video. Well, even as I said, I was going to just set up the overhead camera and then get started. What could be simple is always made more complicated, and I decided to go ahead and do a 2-camera shoot, so it took a little bit of setting up. But I'm going to hold this up. It's a whale drawing that I made, and I'm going to hold it up for the second camera. That's what we're going to be working on today, and I've gotten out the basic tools that I tend to use. Over here is the stuff that I work with, the steel tools, and I doubt I'll need these because they're kind of small. I might get them out for something, but I brought them out of the tool cabinet. This is my go-to set here. These are actually, I've probably talked about it on the channel before, but these are actually wood chisels that I've repurposed, and I also have my wood billet style that I can grab, and I will do when I'm a little further along in the project, but you can see I've got all kinds of just various shapes there. And I've already forgotten one thing, because when I'm working with the wood, I do a wood mallet to make the strikes on that. So I'll grab a wood mallet, and now we're ready to go actually. So I've got the whale here, and the first thing I'm going to do is just start outlining it, and mostly I'll use a straight, in fact I think I'll just use the wooden, I may just scoot these guys off to the side. I don't really feel like, you know, it's a peculiar thing, the mood you're in on a particular day, right tool for the right job. I just don't feel like dealing with metal hammers today, I guess, so I'm going to do all of this just, you know, with the wood mallets, and I think things will be fine. That means I won't be using that one. Set it off to the side. So here we go. I try to get a basic outline on this guy. I'll do along the red marker pen line that I have already drawn. And when I get to the curves there, or anywhere in the design, I'm going to skip over them and I'll come back to them. So the first thing we want to do is get a good, well-defined outline on this piece of copper to work with. Now, as I mentioned before, this is a piece of copper flashing, and you can see the reason I ordered this, it's a good raw material, and anything that's made, like the paper on this table, I got that from a big box home improvement store. I ordered this copper flashing online. It is used with the housing market. People who are doing renovations, particularly on historic houses, will order copper sheeting, and you just have to check the pricing. Don't worry, every time I go to order more of this stuff, the price has increased on it. I end up buying it in, and I'm just going to reach down, and I end up buying it. This is a roll that hasn't even been opened, and you can tell It's not the same height as this one. I ordered a roll that was a little narrower. This one's a little wider, so you can get it in variable heights. And the rolls, I think, are about 10 feet long, so you got some good material to work with there. But if it's made for, you know, construction, and you can repurpose it as an art material, you're in good shape. You're not buying a high-priced, pre-finished panel from somewhere where it's marked up quite a lot. And as I mentioned, price of copper, price of everything seems to have gone wild, and about every time I reorder another roll of this stuff, it's a little more expensive than the last time. So I'm just going back along those lines that I've done already, and the area where the chisel was put down kind of next to the previous stroke, I'm just going and I'm making sure, instead of being a kind of a dotted line, that's a continuous line. And I'll do a hit there too. So there's still a few more spots here where I can get a straight run before I need to move over to the curved tools. And if we make a small mistake at this stage of the game here, not a deal breaker. I have even actually, with the chisel, torn through these guys by accident, and maybe, I mean, if we do that on this one, I'll just keep working it, but you can go back and solder an area like that, sometimes close up a seam that's been opened, but I won't necessarily worry about that until it's a factor. So I'm just looking for any last pieces that look like they could be a straight run before we get the curved pieces out. So there's where we are so far with this. And as the metal starts to bend, don't worry about that. We'll be bending this thing back and forth and back and forth. Okay, so I've gotten the first curve I'm going to use here is a really, I don't know, hopefully the camera might be able to make that out. You see this one is straight across. This one is ever so slightly curved, so we're going to run through the design with that one and see the spots that it would work. Sometimes, depending on the direction of the curve, you might have to flip this thing back and forth. Now we've got a section there. The curves are a little tighter. I'm going to just skip them. This tail back here, though, looks optimal for this tool. And I wish I had a recommendation. I'll just take a quick break here, mostly to rest my hands. You see here I made these guys, and I've done a video on this previously, but these wood billets, I make them out of different shapes, and these were recycled wood chisels. And what I do is I've cut them off at a particular place to allow for a good flat surface for the mallet to hit them. And I've also softened on a belt sander, ground these down to where I have kind of a smoothed over chisel, not at all sharp, but that enables me to, you know, get where I need to in this design. And the problem is, I don't honestly know, for working in, you know, bigger panels like this, there's a lot of commercial stuff out there on the market, you know, suppliers that you can buy finished tools, but I've pretty much had to concoct these tools myself from repurposing other stuff or just making it outright, even right down to the mallet. I know they sell wood mallets on different craft sites, but I fixed this one to the length and the weight that I like, and you know, over time you just have to, don't be discouraged, you just got to accumulate tools as you're able to, and eventually you get a kit together and it feels like it's firing on all cylinders. And I think I've spotted all of the places where we can use this kind of gentle curve. Well, right there I believe. That one will work. That one. As soon as I say that, I find a couple more. Alright, I think now we're ready for the next one, and I'm going to pick the one that's ever so slightly more curved. We're going to run over the design with it. So and I'm just picking spots that I previously didn't hit, or if they look like they kind of need a little bit of a rework, I'm giving that to them. When you get up to sharp points like there and up here, got to show a little more caution, because that is an area where you can go through the metal, and I don't want to tear anything at this point, even though I think we could fix that later if we have to. I'm going to move to the next curved one, and there's not much left here. And we find the spots. If it looks like the chisel fits, I go on and hit it. If it looks like it's not wanting to fit, I come back and go to one of the ones that I previously had, and I just look for the right one. Alright, we're almost ready to flip this thing over and see if we've gotten everything. And the eye there, I've picked out the right size. I'm going to go on and that was a bit of a mental error there. I don't like striking the metal back tools with my wood mallet. I will get out a you know, steel on steel, wood on wood is kind of my rule for working these. Now, you see here, we did that outline, and we've got something now to work with on this side. We can see all of the spots where the design goes, and I'm going to start now taking one of these wooden billets, and we're just going to find the one that I'm looking for here. I want something to go around the liner. I don't want it to be too sharp like that one. I want it to have a little bit of a curve. And you can see this is one that I've worked before, so I've liked it on previous projects, and probably that's the case with this one. We're going to go back over this design and just go right up next to it, right up next to the line that we've worked on, and try to push it down a little. In fact, I think I'm going to just go on and flip that over and work at the edge of this where I have a little bit of space underneath it for the metal to push down and shift into. So let's and I'm not trying to put it right in the line, I'm going right next to the line underneath it. That will add some definition that we would not be able to get just by trying to go straight along the line. So we're going slightly under the line we made on the other side, and not hitting it too hard, not trying to make too much progress with any one strike of the hammer, but you can see we're starting to get where the design inside is already kind of starting to puff out, if you want to think of it that way. We're using the empty space, the air there, and I suppose people call this air chasing. I'm not sure on this scale if this is really conforms to a lot of the Repousse terms and rules. This is definitely more of a folk art or outdoor decor kind of, although I suppose you could take an item like this and, you know, once it's finished, put it in a frame or whatever to make it suitable for indoor use. Alright, now we'll come back to that fin and see if we can raise it a little bit. And in between the fin and the body, I'm going to hit that a couple more times. I want to flip this thing over and have a look. We'll see where we're at with it. And you can see we're starting to get this kind of ridge here where, you know, we marked the edges with the chisel, and now we're drawing up, raising up kind of a ridge next to it, and that's the first step in getting this design to raise up. And we're just working it along that line again. I'm hitting it a little more. You can probably hear it's getting hit a little more forcefully this time. Got to be delicate in that area where part of the tail is raised up. We've got another line there to see the definition in the rest of the tail. Want to keep those two kind of distinct, or they'll just look like some kind of blob back there at the back of the whale. And you can see kind of laid in the foundation work now to be able to go on and hit this thing a little bit harder at the edges. And the whale is already starting to kind of bend outward down into the bottom of the tray here that I've got. All right, I think we're ready to flip it up and have a look at the other side. This is coming on about like I would have expected it to, and I think there's going to be a natural process of, at some point I'm going to push this downward, but right now I want to just take one of my widest tools, and now let's see if we can move this metal here kind of near the center, get it. And I'm moving the piece to where I have a little bit of depth here underneath it, but not a whole lot. realized I haven't said anything about it, but I've got, I guess, some distracting marks on the reverse side of this. I tried this drawing on this side, then I decided that my finished product was going to be the drawing on the other side. So we're kind of ignoring these pencil lines here. We're just focusing on the actual impression that we've made with the tool from the other side. Now, this may be one of those moments when we raise this over and we realize how much progress we've made. It is starting to look more like something. I'm going to turn this over to the flat side, and it is time to get this part back flattened. We may need to do this a couple of times during this overall process, but what I'm going to do is just first try to push down on it. Because with these large kinks in the copper, it's gotten where the design is bent so far down from the other side that we've got to have this more flattened to be able to start over again with our repousse part. So. Now you can see that the whale, it surprised me a little. It has raised up quite a bit. It started to get quite puffy there. Now this is the spot at which I want to differentiate this mouth a little bit more than it is. So I'm going to take one of our narrow tools there, and I pulled this one. It's about the right narrow, but you see a kind of a sharper edge on each side, and I'm certainly not going to put that in there. But I think this one is about right. So we're going to hit that. And we're just trying to push the open part of the whale's mouth back down into that kind of negative space. And while I'm concentrating on that area, I'm going to go back and do the whale's lower jaw there and try to kind of push it out. Ordinarily, I don't get too focused on some of the detail areas, but that one was kind of in danger of getting swallowed a little bit by the overall design. Now, I've taken the whale's upper mouth there and hit a couple of times on that to give it some definition. And you can see, I can feel it here with my fingers that this lower part has puffed out a little bit and we're starting to get more definition above it there. But this is starting to look exactly like what I would have envisioned at this point. I haven't made any major errors or anything that I have to overcome. So I'm going to flip this over again and keep And let's take a peek on the other side again. So we'll hold it for the overhead camera and point it at the straight on camera. All right, I think we're making some good progress here. I want to flatten this thing out again, which means I'm going to turn that over to the solid side, and I'm just going to try to get the design, the sheet itself to lay down again. This one really seems to have come together a lot faster than I would have thought. It is really, the design is kind of raised up from the get-go. I mean, you are fighting with a piece of metal here, and you can see how this design has raised up very quickly. And there's a couple of spots that I'm going to work on, and you know, I don't think we're too far really from putting the finishing touches on this guy. Because there is a danger of overworking an area. You can get something where it's just not going to behave like you want it because you've fooled with it too much. What we're doing is we're just right at the line that I made, slightly below it. I'm just trying to stretch that direction a little bit to get this part here where my finger is to lay down, while keeping this part here that we've already raised up from the other side to stay raised up. So and we're kind of almost in the finishing work here. We're just going around and hitting the areas that need it. I'm actually surprised and pleased with how fast this one kind of started to come out and look three-dimensional. So almost just by hand, I want to go back and kind of burnish that edge a little bit. What that'll do is kind of de-emphasize that spot we were working, and you can see I'm just running that along, and as this thing weathers outside, you won't see those spots where the chisel left a mark, or where two of the chisel strikes fell next to each other and maybe left a little teensy bit of a. That one was a little more than I could push in with my hand, I could tell. I'm going to just make some really light strikes there, because that curve with the whale's head had started to kind of kink in a couple of areas. Anyway, just touching that lightly. That mouth is so close to the way that I envisioned it. I'm going to let it alone. And up here, I'm going to seat that down with just a little more force. We've basically gone through here and just about got all of the, and I had hit it there as well. I find that most of these installations I do outside, and you know, in a short period of time this will start to kind of develop a really nice patina, and I find I don't really worry too much about really cleaning these things. If you really were determined to clean this, what you need to do is get some silver polish and a rag, and just like you would polish a copper pot, you take that and with a rag you'd work the polish. So I'm just straightening this up a little bit, and we're going to call it quits here. And I'm going to take it and just hold the edges here, do it from the back side. And now we're at the point where I'm just going to kind of flop it around with my hands. So let's point it at the cameras, and I'm going to try to hold it. This thing is so shiny when it's like this and you've been working it. It's hard for the camera eye to pick that up, but we've got a pretty good whale outline there, and you can see I'm trying to hold it where the camera will pick up how much raised up it is from there. Okay, so we took this one in the kitchen just to give it a quick cleanup with a scrub pad and some dish liquid, and here we go. I think this is the final version. Well, it looks like we've hit the end of it today, and I want to thank everybody for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon in another video.